this car that I have today, it got me thinking what would be the best way to understand how good and comfortable a car is on the daily than take it on a nice long road trip. Hello and welcome to Beach Out, and today with me I have the Mahindra XUV700, and to understand how good and how comfortable this car is, what kind of features it has overall, I'm going to take it on a quick but long trip to Goa. Now, of course, this trip is mostly going to be about the XUV, how comfortable it is to drive and how it feels. But this trip also is going to cover a brand new road which has come up if you're heading to Goa from Mumbai or Pune. I'm going to quickly show you the interiors and then I'm going to head down. Now, I'm using this as a road trip car, so don't expect all clean and classy interiors. In fact, you can expect interiors with bottles, wires here and there. There's a lot of piano black on the door handles, on this door trim as well, on the steering wheel controls, and also on this HVAC unit. The screens are also massive and they are also glossy. So there is going to be a lot of fingerprints. The layout is pretty simple and intuitive. It also gives you quick selection for your driving modes. This tactile setup of buttons is actually quite handy, where it just takes you one quick click while you're driving without any distractions to reach and do what you want. Just like you find in Mercedes-Benz cars, you also have the seat adjustments on the door. Plus, it also has your memory seats over here. The first thing you'll notice as soon as the car starts is that engine sounds very refined. It's quiet. It's not clattery like you'd expect from a diesel. The engine actually feels quite refined. Over here there are two USB ports. Both it doesn't have C at the front. There is one USB-C at the back though. Then over here at the back you can see it's actually two captain seats which look quite comfortable. Air conditioning vents in the center, a massive sunroof on top, a little bit more of piano black over here, and some really nice looking perforated seats. They are fixed from the bottoms, they have ISOFIX, and they do have recline. Oh yeah, this is super handy. The journey back here is going to be comfortable, but I don't intend to sit over here and enjoy this trip. I'm actually going to head back to my driver's chair and tell you more about this entire journey from there. 450 kilometers one way, that's going to be 900 to 1000 kilometers including local travel in Goa. That's going to be good enough for me to tell you a ton of stuff about this car, including its audio system, how does the ADAS perform, how does the comfort and convenience features in this car work. So I'm super excited to head down. See you on the road. My God, the traffic today is insane. Quickly, I want to share with you is the driving experience. I've done driving a little bit in the city right now and a lot on the highway, and the good part what I found out is that engine is really refined, and it's not just only about being refined, but that engine is actually quite punchy, where it gets you up to speed super fast. Getting to 3-digit speeds with this engine is basically a piece of cake. It's silent and it's fast, and the gearbox also complements it quite well, where it reacts immediately to your throttle inputs and shifts. The engine actually feels powerful enough that it is able to push this big car cross 100 in no time. Breakfast muffin, good. Good time made in this car, really nice. Highway traffic clearing out, good. So, time to head back out on the road. See you at the next stop. Man, I have to say, this part of the highway stretch is kind of one of the most stressful. I am talking particularly between Satara and Karad, where there is ton of diversions, ton of roadworks going on, and people are just all over the place, coming to you at the wrong side, coming from all over the place. The helpful part in this stressful kind of driving situation is the ADAS system. Not only does it help you assist and keep you in its lanes, but at the same time it also helps you avoid collisions and ton of other things, and it actually works. I think, in my opinion, this has to be one of the most effective ADAS systems on any Indian manufactured car, specifically in that range for sure. Also, one more thing I really enjoy driving the XUV700 is its suspensions. The car feels so stable, even at speeds like 140, 150. I meant minus 50, 60, 150 minus 60. is the speed I was doing, and the suspension feel really stable. The car's steering, body control, everything is excellent at those speeds. And now, after this Malkapur section of good twisty roads, where I'm going to obviously experience a little bit more of the suspension and how it manages to keep the body roll of the car in control, I'm going to come across a rough section of road as well. So there's going to be a gradual test of the suspensions throughout. Really excited about this. And that is the beautiful Anuskura Ghat. This road is so worth it for all the right reasons. It's got great tarmac, it's got a beautiful driving surface, and this road has at least, if not more, 70 to 80 kilometers of just pure ghat section. Yes, there are a few sections where there are villages and there's a little bit of traffic, but that is totally fine. That totally works. If you have a view like this at the end of it, I think it's totally worth it from every angle. So how did this car fare on that road? Well, it was actually quite fantastic. Of course, there was body roll. It's kind of expected, no, for such a big, heavy car. There was body roll, but then at the same time, it was still fun and engaging to drive. The best part is the car is still super comfortable. No matter how much misbehaving you want to do with it, it still keeps its line. I was able to stick through the lines. I was able to just put the car through its paces, and the XUV700 actually took it and made a fantastic fun drive out of it. What I would have liked a little more, maybe the steering to have a little bit more weight. I've been on this ghat for the last 4 or 5 times, and I have to say, this drive has to be one of my favorites. Anyways, now from here, it's pretty much a straightforward road. I'm going to be hitting the Panjim Mumbai highway, which is still not fully constructed. About 80% of it is done. And from there, it's just Goa ahead. So I'm going to see you soon. Well, once I reached Goa, after that, yesterday evening all the way till night was pretty much a blur. But the evening's drive was by far my favorite, not just for yesterday, but for the last 3 days that I've had this car. After Anuskura Ghat ended, the roads actually became very narrow. They were still a lot twisty, but they became narrow with broken surfaces, some place where there was no tarmac. At the same time, with lots of crests and elevation changes, sharp corners, stuff that, you know, is very difficult for cars, especially big heavy cars, to kind of balance out and to kind of manage, because it throws so many different elevation changes that the suspensions and the overall body and chassis of cars can't cope up. But that is where the XUV700 did so well, that I have just become an outright fan of this car and its handling. First of all, that engine has so much of torque. Those 450 Newton meters of torque are available to you right from the moment when you step down on the throttle, which, you know, gives you like an instant acceleration whenever you need it. Let it be mid corner, let it be before the corner, let it be after the corner. I mean, the torque is readily available, so there are not many instances where the gearbox actually needs to kick down. But just in case it does, the transmission actually fast enough to respond to your foot movement to give that torque back to you and, you know, get down to a gear and give you that burst of acceleration. Nowhere on that section of road it felt like I needed acceleration or I needed power and I couldn't get it immediately. It always felt like the power and the torque was available right at the moment when I stepped my foot on the throttle. But the best part of the XUV700 are its suspensions. On that road, the suspensions completely changed my outlook of this car, where they were so good, you know. The compression is not very sharp. At the same time, the dampening is also very good. But the rebound is my best part, where the rebound doesn't happen so instantly that it completely sort of disbalances the car, or gives the body or the chassis so much of shock that it completely unsettles it. The rebound is so beautifully set that on those roads where there was constant elevation changes while at the same time going into corners, the body of the car was so well balanced that I was literally throwing the car into corners, from one corner to the other, over crests, under hills, and the body of the car was completely stable, and that is all due to the brilliance of the suspensions that the XUV700 has. All that suspension was doing was just making me push harder and harder, and my face was grinning from here till here with a smile that I am able to drive this car so beautifully with so much of control over those bad and broken patches of road. I really don't think any SUV apart from this car can handle those roads like this, and it clearly shows Mahindra's years of rallying and years of off-road experience, how they have used it in perfectly refining not just their entire suspension setup but their chassis, and as well as how the gearbox and the engine kind of gels in and makes one very whole package where the car is so enjoyable over those roads. Nothing. I have not driven anything in that segment, at least, that comes so close. I would say I have not driven cars in higher segments also that have that level of control, that give you that level of control to, just mash it and just go ham on those kind of bad broken roads. In the end of it all, the XUV700 for me has been a car which has, my love for it has grown over the last few days. The more I've driven it, the more I've kind of fallen in love with this car. The entire driving experience of this car is so good. The car is so beautifully set up. I mean, it does have all the connectivity you want from it. Like, all the features are there. It has Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto and all those things, charging ports. It's got everything. It's got one of the best suite of ADAS driver assists that any other car has in this segment, for sure. It's comfortable. It's got all the creature comforts and amenities. It's just that they might have been placed in a slight odd fashion, but as I said, all of that just evaporates from your mind. All of that just goes away once you get an idea of what kind of driving experience this car gives. And in the end of the day, what is it all about? It's about how a car makes you feel to drive, and this car gives you that confidence. This car is one of the most refined engines as well in its category, I believe, where the engine, like even now the engine is running, I don't think you will be able to hear it that much. And even while you're driving, no matter what speed, city speeds, highway speeds, or on off-road bad terrain, you can't hear the engine. But it all comes together so beautifully the minute you start driving this car, and the more you live with it, I believe the more you're going to fall in love with this car. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to see you in the next one. Till then, ciao.